Good morning.
Hello. How are you?
Hello. Good. How are you?
I messed up and I slept in an extra 20 minutes and I could just tell.
Did you have time to make a coffee at least?
No, but in that 20 minutes that I hit the snooze, I had dreams. That's wild.
Yeah, I dream them like so when I was a kid, I used to have precognitive dreams. And then as an adult, I rarely dream. But when I do dream, it's always when I eat like something really heavy before bed, or if I wake up and snack and go back to sleep. So I don't know what the link is between dreams and food, but there's obviously a connection there, at least for me.
Do you know about the link between dreams and reality or truth? Because I don't know what any of this stuff means.
Yeah, I think it's complicated. I think there's different types of dreams. I think there's communicative dreams. I think there's dreams where we're experiencing different dimensions. I think there's all kinds of stuff.
Oh, I love that.
How do you know this? How do you even know this isn't a dream?
I think about that every single day of my life.
It's just a dream that we're kind of stuck in.
Wait, do you like it more of the dream or like the Matrix? I like the Matrix. The Matrix was
Matrix
perfect timing. Yeah,
but it's also like reinforcing, like especially the stuff we've been doing with the sports predictions this last week. Like, yeah, obviously there's way more to reality than what humanity gives credit for.
And that's the stuff. I still don't. How do you do on this last one? Never mind even our bets, but like that the SciDev like GPS location. Did you get the Louvre?
I didn't do that one. I didn't have time yesterday to do that one. The last one I did was the Hollywood sign. Okay,
and you got that?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I like, one of my impressions was like Lego pieces. How it was like individual pieces, which I got, and I had like the up on a hill, and so much fun.
Yeah, I got like for the Louvre, I had like, it was like an orb, like a semicircle, and then it started glowing, and I just saw that as like the sun rising.
Yeah, it'd be quite reflective. I've been there before, and you tasked me the Louvre like last month, didn't you? I remember doing a Louvre tasking recently, and I drew the triangle. I drew like a pyramid.
Yeah, we did something like that.
Yeah. Good morning, Lydia.
Do you? So yeah, now you feel way more confident in
the viewing.
Your sketches are getting way more detailed.
Yeah, and I mean not just because we're doing like 3 to 5 a day, you and I. Yeah. so I also like brought my remote viewing books out of the bookshelf. The realization yesterday is that I do better viewing when I listen to music versus like the hemisync stuff. I also picked up a book. It's in the other room. I think it's called Drawing with the Right Side of the Brain.
Yes.
Which is a required reading for all the remote viewers, all the military viewers. And then what I assumed was it was an art book to like better sketch your targets. But what it's really about is awakening the left side, artistic side of the brain, through specific drawing exercises, so that, and that's where that intuitive information comes from. So I'm really excited to dive into that, even though I'm not excited about sketching.
Yeah, is that what it is? It's having you practice in the book?
I think so. So I just went through chapter 2, and you have to create this viewer thing where it's like a piece of paper where you cut out the middle to like look at different parts of images and sketch them and stuff. So it's really, I really think it's going to like awaken different neural pathways in the mind that isn't typically trained in society.
Yeah. I did have a question about that because I'm left-handed. So I wonder if I'm just naturally,
everything would be reversed.
Yeah. You think that, or is that what it is?
I think your two brain hemispheres are swapped. If you're like left, I think maybe not. I could be wrong about that.
I think it's just I'm activating that already naturally.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe I don't even need a book.
But I mean, your sessions have been getting better and better by leaps and bounds.
Yeah. Okay. They've been all right. But then stuff like that happens where it's like, well, why wouldn't I see a triangle? Why wouldn't I see the Louvre? Why wouldn't I see structure of a thing?
I think it's just it's learning to decipher like good data versus bad data, and then diving into more detail.
Yeah. Okay. Like,
and by the way, after last week's call, I got probably about 10 emails about people wanting help finding lost things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I've got a list of taskings. We just haven't passed them yet. So if some of you guys are wondering about that, once we do the viewing for whatever your last item is, we'll get back to you and let you know.
What, you gonna do it live?
Oh,
yeah, right. It's scary.
Yeah, I mean, we could try doing one live sometime, or maybe I'll do another side dev live call again, like I did last month.
Oh, that's you should do.
I still think we could come up with a fun YouTube channel around remote viewing. I don't know what it is yet, but
what's the book called?
I think it was called Drawing with the Right Side of the Brain, or Drawing with the Left Side of the Brain, something like that. It's in the other room. I forget the title now.
The right side.
I think so.
Brain. Yeah. Yeah. I'm totally out of it. I need caffeine. I messed up. I slept in.
So what else? Remote viewing aside, what else is new? What's going on with everybody's realities? We already got a question in the chat window.
Yeah, right away. I saw that.
How do you know when to let someone go versus sticking with them through their contrast? That's an interesting question. I mean, I think it all comes down to understanding that there's no right or wrong. It's like there's no direct answer to that. I mean, if you love that person but don't want to stick with them, is that you running away from your own contrast?
Right.
Or is it just time to move on? Which it might be, right? Because sometimes we expand beyond where our partner's at, and we're no longer a vibrational match anymore.
Yeah. So when I was 21, I met a girl and we just met, but she started having a few too many problems, and I had to head for Z Hill. I had to run away. There wasn't love involved yet. There wasn't anything. I had to run. Because there was too much contrast. Sometimes there's too much contrast. Now, obviously, if it's Brianna, okay, I love her very much. I'm gonna stick around. Have you played around with like cycles? So I always hear like of a 7-year cycle, or like to where you're supposed to see it through. Like sometimes people bail too early.
Well, the thing about bailing too early is whether it's relationship or jobs,
anything.
Or whatever. Like it's typically people bailing too early is people trying to bail from their contrast, trying to run away from their contrast, but you can't run away from your vibration. So you're just going to repeat the circumstance in some other way.
Yep.
Right. So like, my favorite way to experience reality is organic unfolding, right? Not trying to control reality in any way, shape, or form. Just let it unfold with the understanding that whatever's unfolding is the best thing for me to experience, and then understand that it's always trying to show me something about me if it's contrast.
Steve follows up. It's been 12 years. Okay. Now it's a real relationship. It's a real something.
Yeah. So I think I'd have to sit down with Steve and have like a deeper discussion on like, what's the contrast? I would tell Steve to look at his patterns in past relationships. What's it trying to show him? what's this? There's just so much stuff to look at. I don't want to tell somebody in a 12-year relationship on a live stream on YouTube that they need to leave theirs. Right. It's not that simple of a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Rosario says she just got the book.
Yeah. Yeah. So with those cycle things, though, it really is true, though. If you bail too early, you're going to recognize it. Do you recognize it in the same relationship, or do you go ahead?
So this goes back to what we talked about on our Breakthrough Club call yesterday, which is the topic of lining up. Mm-hmm. So with Steve in a relationship, all outcomes exist, right? So it's about choosing the outcome that you want to choose, and there's no wrong choice, and then lining up with that outcome vibrationally. So a lot of people, when I shared on the call yesterday, that there's a lot of people who oftentimes they're not taking action because they lack clarity. They're waiting on source to give them a clarity on, which door should I go through? Which path should I take? And while you're sitting here waiting for source to tell you what you think you should do, or what it thinks you should do, or the clarity, at the same time, source is sitting up here waiting, saying, okay, make a decision so we can go in a direction.
Right.
So people get stuck in this waiting game of clarity, and the clarity never shows up because it's not source's job to tell you what to do. It's your job to follow your excitement, choose a path, and then line up with it. And the unfolding of that path is going to mirror how well you've lined up with that unfolding. So if it's about a relationship, you can choose to leave the relationship. You can choose to stay in the relationship. There's no right or wrong choice. But if you want it to flow in the direction that you want it to flow in, it's about you having the solid intention and lining up with the outcome of that intention.
Yeah. So I was one of the people that raised my hands saying that I was just drifting yesterday. And, I didn't have any chance to follow up. So I'm glad you brought it up here, because I think that there's a fear of choosing the wrong path. If I've made so many bad decisions in my life if I've made the decisions to bring me here and I don't like where here is.
But was it the decisions that brought you here, or the practice vibration that brought you here?
Yeah. So let's assume even that. And by me now accepting and listening to source, I feel like the answer will come. Whereas you're saying, and I love it that you're saying you're wanting to put yourself out there and say, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready for that next step. Or here is the next step. I want to do this next step. Is that more of it?
More of it? What do you mean more
of
it?
Well, because I'm like waiting for a message from God. I'm waiting for a thunderbolt to hit me in the head to say, bam, do this. It's happened before, right? Why wouldn't it happen again?
I think when we're in the receptive mode, we get impulses, right? We get inspiration. So like when I channel with Anik and she's streaming source to me, if you ask them a direct question, should I break up with this person or should I not? They will never answer that.
Okay.
If you ask them, should I take this job or should I not take this job? They will never tell you what to do.
Okay.
Because it's your free will. They're taking away from your experience in physical reality by telling you what to do. And to be honest, even on live calls with me, if somebody comes on a breakthrough hot seat and says, Nick, should I do this or should I do that? I won't tell them.
For sure.
I'll help them clear what's standing in their way to getting the clarity of what action they might want to take. But I would never tell somebody what to do.
Yeah. Do you think that in that case, just choose, just go, just do whatever, do one?
Why wouldn't you? I think it's funny. When we were in Mallorca years ago, we were walking around in a plaza, and I had this. What's that Jim Carrey movie that he has to say yes
man.
to everything? Yes,
man.
So like the thought popped into my head that like, what would reality look like if you lived as yes man?
Yeah.
If you said yes to everything that dropped onto your doorstep, that would probably be the quickest path to the most amount of expansion anybody has ever experienced.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you try it?
No.
You should have said yes.
I should. But yeah, but it's, what this conversation is really about is about understanding that there's nothing to fear in your action taking.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, whatever action you take, if it's an undesired outcome, it's not because the action was bad. It's because the vibration you practiced as you stepped into that action wasn't lined up with the outcome that you were reaching for.
Okay.
But it's still showing you what you need to know for the shift to eventually get to where you want to be.
Yeah. So I would bet a lot of people are like you. I think you said floating was floating yesterday. And I feel that. So I wouldn't think that is a bad vibration to take action on.
I don't think there's good or bad. I think
okay, but it's not. If I'm in a panic state, I probably shouldn't take action, right? I desperately need this money, blah, 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 blah. It's probably not the best time to act, right?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that black and white because, you would have to look at all the different frequencies and vibrations that you're
practicing. Is there a wrong vibration?
I mean, there's a
one that doesn't line up. How do you know if it's not lining up? I mean, to me, an obvious one would be
always based on how it feels in your body. So like when we're doing remote viewing,
yes,
right, I can feel in my body when like it doesn't feel right, that the data's it's on but it's not, right. But I can also feel when like I'm loose and relaxed and like, yeah, this is like total match.
Good topic. What would you do if nothing feels right or inspiring? See, this is where you're talking about floating.
And this is where people get stuck, because if nothing feels right or inspiring, it's not because you're a victim to reality not providing you with experiences that are right or inspiring. It's about going out and getting into the vibration of inspiring. So like going out, go for a hike in nature, or like doing things to nurture those inspiring vibrations within yourself.
So I was talking to you yesterday and you go, oh, okay, I'll do that in a minute. I'm going to go for a bike ride. Now, the bike ride, is it leisurely? Because I followed up with a walk of my own. I was like, I love it. I'm going for a walk.
Yeah, it was the stationary bike that I've been using for the last few weeks. So it's like I need to get the energy out. And when I exercise, it's easier for me to drop into my body and be grounded. And I know that when I remote view, that I'm better off remote viewing from this grounded, stable place. And this is where our connection to source is. So for me, the priority was bike and then sauna and then do that session afterwards.
So you worked up a sweat.
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay. See, I think that's important too, because I think a lot of times you're just like walking. Like I did not. I kept my heart rate pretty low yesterday.
We've got 7 bodies, right? Mental body, physical body, emotional body, energetic body, spiritual body. I don't know, I can't name them all. But like what Source told me was that like at one point my physical body was lagging behind my other bodies, and that's what I needed to kind of process and work through. And they said like for me the best thing is like high intensity exercise and doing weights, because that gets energy moving in your body. A lot of people have a lot of stagnant energy because they're not doing anything with their physical body, and energy stagnates there, and that gets in the way too.
Yeah. Could you feel it, or you needed them to tell you?
I can feel it. I mean, in the past I wasn't consciously aware, but even when I was a kid, like if I played a lot of sports. So if I had, let's say, volleyball practice, I knew that if I tried doing my homework before volleyball practice, I couldn't sit still and focus. But after volleyball practice, after all that energy was out of my body, it was much easier for me to focus.
Do you try meditating after that too, or?
Well, when I went in the sauna yesterday, it's like a meditation.
Okay. Oops. Yeah. This one. Isn't it about use mind with coherence? Is soul nudge? I don't know. Soul nudge. Is that just like impulse? That's the lightning bolt. Is soul nudge?
Isn't it about use the mind with coherence with soul nudge? Yeah, many people avoid decisions because I'm not sure.
Okay. I'm with her on the floating thing though, like with saying nothing feels right,
Well,
and to the point where
a lot of people are floating because they're not taking actions, right?
okay,
Or they're taking all their actions from the same vibration, so nothing's changing.
okay,
Or they're busy distracting themselves from what wants to be
mm-hmm.
processed by always being on social media or their phones or their TV or their video games or their books or what have you.
Right. So it's almost like you could be a superpower because so many more people are gravitating those ways. Like I heard it was yesterday, 6 hours a day in front of a screen, 6 hours on average. I
Yeah.
would say that's
And
pretty right around here.
that's all mental body up here, right? So of course people aren't living grounded in their bodies.
Well, and there's no time to get bored and there's no time to feel discomfort.
But it's there's also the addiction to stimulation too.
Sure.
A lot of people, like if I ask my kids to sit down for 5 minutes on the couch with no electronics and nothing to take their attention, I don't know if they could handle it.
I don't think I could.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always trying to live true to myself. Oh, live my true self. That's close enough. I support it with meditations. I see others in the office who struggle with stress and panic. Is it okay for me to encourage them to stop, breathe, and stay still?
I don't see why it would hurt anything to encourage them to do that.
Yes. Do you think that does James feel like a nag? Does he do this a lot? That would be the question, right? Is that
Yeah, and it depends on how receptive the coworkers are.
Yeah, that's it. Would you do weird things in public to get a little attention, or that's not your style?
Not my style at all.
Yeah. If someone comes up to you or talks about things like that, they always come.
Yeah, and people, I don't think people necessarily. I saw somebody post on Facebook yesterday that they're sick of like coaches DMing them trying to sell them services. And like I feel like social media, it feels like it might be a little bit better than it used to be, but at one point I was getting like 4 or 5 friend requests a day from marketers and coaches trying to sell me shit. And it, not to say that it ruins social media, but social media is definitely feels like it's a bit more of a dumpster fire than it was 5-10 years ago.
Yeah. Have you experimented with what is that?
Breau. Never heard of those.
Oh, apparently they work on radionic frequencies and can be. Oh, that's interesting.
Never heard of radionic frequencies either. Can be better than saying affirmations.
Should we write that down? How do I remember? I mean, I'm a big fan of looking into everything. Why not?
Yeah, you look into it. You can report back to me. I want a 10-page report on my desk by Tuesday.
ChatGPT will give you that for sure. I really do need a pen around here. I got nothing.
It's okay. You can come back to the recording.
All right. Someone messaged me. Hi.
I want to say another hi to all of our lovely attendees who are attending live. Any other questions? Any other topics of discussion?
They got a bunch.
What do you guys got going on?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay, let's go with this one real quick because so I had shown a picture of a balloon.
This was a remote viewing target. Yeah.
Sketched the lines of the clouds, but brain assumed it was a mountain.
Yeah,
now
that's how remote viewing works, is because you get these sensations of shapes and then your conscious mind tries to interpret those shapes. And the challenge of the viewer is to not allow the conscious mind to do that.
Now, does she next time she sees similar shapes, she
just draw the shape. Just draw the shape. It's so the session that comes to mind that we did was one of the targets was the Roman Colosseum.
Yes.
And I wrote down, Rome and like all these Rome things, but I drew not the Colosseum, but one of those temples with the pillars. Right. So but I even had like some of the drawings were on, and I even had a circle at the start with the 2 things on the side, but it was my mind that made a bad guess. Right. And as a good viewer, those guesses should be tossed aside.
Okay.
But it's hard to differentiate whether it's a guess or it's coming from that deeper part of you.
The next time she feels like something's a mountain, though,
I would write the word mountain in the AOL. I would put mountain in the AOL column.
But not to start assuming that it's clouds. It means clouds.
So the more sessions she does,
yes,
she'll realize that when she's getting the imprint of a cloud, whether it's a cloud or not. And that's why it's important to write everything down. Because for me, every time I get an imprint of cotton, to me, that translates to clouds. And I write.
So it is doing something. You do train that language.
You have to. Absolutely.
Okay. And so after we're done with that session, then you look at the picture again. What's your review process? Or you don't have one?
I should have more of a review process. Okay. But I really compare. I look at every data point and then I analyze the image to see how they translate.
So, I mean, so we should just do that same thing. We just look at what we were saying, like what we thought we were seeing and what we were actually seeing.
And how it felt when that piece of data came through.
Okay. So, because here's why I'm bringing it up. Because if I get an impulse to do whatever, and I'm interpreting it a certain way, maybe it really was clouds and I thought it was a mountain, right? I was supposed to go left and that obviously meant go right. This is where the training is like important to me, because now I'm actually hearing source. I'm actually pinpointing it instead of imprinting my own.
And that's why this remote viewing practice is so powerful, because like, sure, we're practicing, in this, we'll call it the classroom of remote viewing, but it applies to so much outside of remote viewing too. We're literally building our psychic muscles.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your end goal? I can't wait to find out what you're going to do from all this. Just win the lottery. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we are now over 80% accurate with sports bets and predictions, which is new. So I think it's just continuing to build that accuracy. I'm excited to go through this book and see how much more it opens up.
Yeah. So I started, because I got it when you first started critiquing yourself and you were being hard on yourself. I was like, I don't understand that. You're doing really great. It doesn't make sense that you would critique. And now I'm in a similar situation. Yeah. And so I don't know. I guess it's like you said, you just do and do and do and just keep practicing.
Yeah.
Would you practice certain things? Like, would you try to manifest certain things like before all this? When you were first trying to manifest, was there a skill you did to like develop the skill
for manifestation in general
or whatever? I mean, if it's completely different than the remote viewing is so obvious. Like,
so what Source said was the practice of remote viewing is a hack.
Okay.
And it's a hack to learning detachment, intended focus, like they listed a whole bunch of things. And I can see it because like the more I'm attached to getting a target right, the more it messes me up. So now when I go in to do a session, it's about like working my way to that relaxed, unattached place. And I can see how that translates perfectly over to manifesting, anything really.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. Is it a thing where you could do, like you were saying, okay, I'm sketching the winner. I'm drawing the winner. Yep. This is the winner. So I'm receiving the message. I'm receiving the perfect message. Can you change that energy?
It's the same certainty of like getting in the Abraham-Hicks hot seat, where instead of being, oh, I hope she picks me, I hope she picks me, it's putting your hand up and saying, okay, my turn, I'm right here.
Yeah.
Right. And like I get in the hot seat like 13 times now, something like that. And every time I go, I'm second or third in the hot seat. And that's exactly what I do. Right. So now it's translating that certainty and that choosingness over like the hopefulness or that state of doubt.
Gotcha. How do you keep your energy stable and high vibe when you're making big decisions? These choices are exciting, but also nerve-wracking. For example, 3 children and never done that.
So I would say the nervousness comes from fear of getting it wrong, right? So once you transmute the fears behind it, then my guess is that nervousness will greatly diminish. Fear of the unknown, fear of getting it wrong, those types of things.
can she try this method of just shifting the whole experience? And would you do like, do you do like a visualization of it? Like, oh, here's the perfect thing.
Just do it. So it's like this certainty, right?
Okay.
So with the remote viewing, we went from 0% with the wagers to like over 80% when placing wagers. And the way that I did that was stepping into the certainty muscle, stepping into the like, I'm not trying to guess the target or sense the target. I'm telling my reality, this is the target.
I love that.
Right. Yeah. So as we continue to practice this remote viewing and placing the wagers and building that certainty muscle, which is what it's really about, is this certainty muscle. Theoretically, if I can build this certainty muscle strong enough, I could walk into a convenience store and I could say, give me the $1 million lottery ticket. Okay. And from that energy of certainty and expectation, if you're truly there, it's got to manifest, right? Because manifestation is expectation minus doubt, right? If you have zero doubt and 100% expectation, it's got to happen.
With the 3 kids though, and you can expect this is the way they're going to be. I want this kind of behavior from them. I want, this kind of love, and other things will come into play too, right? That will help support that.
And I wouldn't go into all the little details. I would just like, yeah, moving next week, it's going to be awesome. The kids are going to help out. They're always great. And this is the lining up step, right? Because if you're lining up with your ideal unfolding, well, if there's part of your mind that creeps in and says, ooh, but kid B always causes trouble, they never listen, blah, blah, blah. Well, then that's trying to get in the way of you lining up. And then it's up to you to change that story and the beliefs to better align up.
Yeah. Just had a major setback with a client as an artist. And I'm an actor and I feel like I just want to act. Okay.
Just act.
Something? Yeah. Just act.
And it's not a setback, right? So it's only a setback if you perceive it as a setback. So, in reality, if you're perceiving reality with this things are always working out for me, it's not about things working out. It's about having the realization that these co-creations are meant to bring you in the expansion. If you had a setback, it's because that setback was a match to the vibration you're practicing. And now it's an opportunity to gain the awareness of what that vibration is so you can work through it and then not re-experience that, so-called setback.
Does using certain words matter in all this? By saying setback, is it a really negative thing?
I mean, setback is just an indicator that that's how you're perceiving it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And so if she's just saying,
I love it. So if you watch Bashar, I love it when Bashar has his hot seat and somebody gets in the hot seat and then they're like, oh, I just got dumped, or oh, I just lost all my money. And his response is, how exciting. Right? So like, if you can get excited about your contrast.
Okay. I love that.
Right. Then like, you're going to experience it in such a different way.
Yeah. I mean, it is an experience. Why does why does taking action feel uncomfortable at first, but then it starts to feel good? Ooh.
I'm guessing maybe fear of the unknown.
Okay.
So go into the discomfort and feel it. Ask yourself, I feel this way because, and see what comes up.
Yeah. You can probably practice any of it.
I love what he says here.
Let's go.
He said, isn't this not the path of least resistance? The path of least resistance is not the path of least discomfort.
Okay.
People think they associate that like path of least resistance is the path of least discomfort. The discomfort is just showing you where you're not lined up.
Okay.
Makes sense?
It's a nuance. So what is the least resistance?
So I would say the path of least resistance, the way I would label that is the path of quickest unfolding.
Okay.
The path of most direct unfolding.
Okay.
Right? And like, if something has not unfolded in your reality, it's because you still have resistance to that thing. You're not a vibrational match to it. So like, the path that your inner being has you down is not a physical path. It's a vibrational path. Yeah. So if you want to be an engineer at IBM, and this is engineer at IBM, and you're here, well, your mind says, okay, well, I got to go to high school. I got to get good grades. I got to get into university. I got to find a job opening. I got to apply for the job. And then it's going to happen. So your mind creates a physical path from here to wherever. But like the physical path is irrelevant because you will experience this once you're a vibrational match to this. And sometimes that unfolding, that physical unfolding is part of the journey. But really, the unfolding is always about source saying, how do I vibrationally line this person up with that experience?
Right. And staying in that like is often, right? I mean, you really, really want something and it's paramount. Are you staying in that vibration?
So like for me, like let's say the next thing I want is really big, but I'm very attached. Okay. Source says, okay, Nick needs to learn how to be detached. How do we get him there? Right? What experiences does he need to have in order to really find a new level of mastery and detachment? I know, remote viewing. Sure. Let's send some nudges to get him back into playing with remote viewing again. Right?
Right. And it seems like with remote viewing, develops your trust to an ability to hear your source and voice. 100%, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily like a audible voice. Like for me, the data comes through impressions. Intuition. Yeah. Everybody, it's going to be different.
I was feeling that it's different. I still haven't figured out the GPS, the location of it. Now, you said yesterday, what's the flag look like?
Yeah, sense the flag.
Yeah. Got the colors right. I got the colors right.
Or even sense like up or down, right?
Okay.
What side of the equator is it on?
Yeah, I thought I was doing that, and it wasn't giving me good data.
For some people, the data comes in upside down, by the way.
Okay.
When I first started, buildings were coming in upside down and everything else.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's about.
And it just went away?
Yeah.
Or your brain, like it does?
I think my brain learned to readjust itself.
Okay. I'm in that dance of what is inspired action, just picking up the 100, what is this? 100-pound telephone to make prospecting calls. Oh, I get it now. Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. So like the way you can tell whether an action is inspired or efforted is by asking yourself, if I take this action and don't get the results, would I still take the action? If I knew that I'm not going to get the results that I'm looking for from this action step, would I still take it? And if the answer is no, then it's likely an effort-based action and not an inspired-based action. Inspired-based actions, you're taking them because they feel good right now, regardless of where it's going to take you.
The 100-pound becomes a 1,000-pound telephone. And especially just calling it that. I mean, so what would you do with cold calling? You would never cold call. You would attract.
And it's funny because I remember multiple times I've worked with clients who are doing like outbound cold calling work. And it's funny because we did some vibrational work and they went from like lower performer to like the number one performer in their division by far, or team or whatever it is. And I remember it because like this has happened with multiple clients doing this exact same type of work. Sometimes it was like outbound insurance and stuff like that. And their dilemma now was like, I'm outperforming everybody else by far, but now like my boss is on my case because I'm putting in less hours to outperform.
I hate that.
Right?
Yeah, that's the worst.
So she's also asking how to get into the remote viewing fund. So so we have a SciDev. It's the program is called SciDev. We do taskings. There's an automated tasking every day. We do personal taskings every 2 or 3 days. We'll eventually be tasking some of these lost items that you guys have submitted. And that program is free for anybody who's in the Breakthrough Club or in School of Expansion.
Is it intentionally like hidden because like come find us? Come find us.
People have lost. But what I might do was in one of our upcoming taskings is like hide a pen somewhere in the house and then task you guys to tell me the location of the pen and see what.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. It'd be more fun if you hid it in the garden. Here it's back to the moving. But the home seems beautiful and clean and it's actually full of mice. Oh no. Did my nerves?
No, your nerves didn't ruin it. So again, the experience with the mice is a match to the vibration you're practicing.
Okay.
So last night on the call, I had somebody who came on the call, and they've got finances in multiple places that have been locked, and then they can't get access to their own finances.
Okay.
And I said, how does this make you feel? And the emotion that came back for them, I think, was like hopeless or powerless. And I said, okay, so now I want you to go back to like your last significant relationships. And they looked at me funny, like, this has nothing to do with my relationships. And I said, okay, go back to the biggest issue with those relationships. What emotion was triggered in those relationships? Guess what the answer was?
Yeah.
Same thing. Right? So again, at the root of everything is a dominant frequency that's being practiced. So around, this beautiful home being filled with mice, ask that question. How does this make me feel? Right? Is it powerless? Look at other aspects of your life. Is that same powerless feeling present in those aspects as well? If so, then now you know exactly what you're practicing vibrationally that needs to be looked at. This is the stuff we work through on the Breakthrough Club. Like this is the stuff that, people look for the crystals and to open their third eyes and the magic meditations. And like, you just got to look at your frequency, and you just got to transmute what you're going on. It's that easy to shift your reality. And if you don't know how to do that, get on the Breakthrough Club calls, come play with us, and we'll help you work through it. It's this stuff isn't hard. It's just when it's your own stuff, you're stuck in the gunk of it.
Yeah, of course. When she had said they said stress before, do you think that is that too broad of a stroke?
Stress,
would you narrow it down?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, cool. Oh, thank you. Is that it? Okay. At first I felt that way, but weird, I can't explain it. How do you stay positive when you're transitioning into something else and not get into fear when you're the total unknown?
So I would explore the fears of the unknown.
Yeah.
Right. Knowing where anything is going is an illusion.
Okay, sure.
Right. Because only the now exists. Nobody has any idea where they're going to be in a year from now or 6. You can think right? And there might be momentum towards experiences, but really we have no idea.
Yeah, and you could practice it, right?
And it's not even our job to know. Knowing brings comfort to the inner critic if we have fears of the unknown or fears of what's coming next. But our job as humans is really, as a 3D, 5D integrated human, which is what we really want to be. Right now, present moment is the only thing you ever need to look at or worry about.
What about fake it until you make it? What do you think of those words?
I think there's a difference between fake it till you make it is typically I'm pushing against something that I'm practicing that I don't want to be practicing.
Okay.
So like, I am good enough. I am good enough. If I'm trying to fake it into good enoughness, then I'm probably practicing the opposite and pushing against the opposite. Instead, you want to allow yourself to acknowledge and feel the not good enoughness and transmute it so you can release it. So you don't have to push against it.
Feel even the fear, or what the fear is making you feel about yourself, I suppose.
Transmute it. Yeah, I see that kind of as the same thing. But it's really about understanding that like our unwanted circumstances in reality are happening for us to show us what we're practicing that's not serving us, where we're giving our power away.
Right. Every time we experience a breakthrough that shifts our perspective, our brain is rewired. We are the new versions of ourselves, correct?
With every single change in thought or perspective, you're a brand new person. You're a different person. Different frequency, different person, different reality.
Yeah, you let me in on the call yesterday. It was a lot of fun. And there was definitely this bubbling energy. Like they were lit up. They were really
they're so powerful. And it's funny because like, man, if people only knew how powerful they really are. It's like I see a society where most people are living feeling stuck, feeling powerless, feeling a victim, feeling like they can't have what they want, whether it's money, relationship, career, whatever. And all of that is inner critic bullshit. But it's propagated because most people are not living empowered. They're not living connected to source. They're not flexing their certainty muscles. They're not working through the shit that's holding them back. And a lot of people are aware that there's shit there, and they're maybe scratching at the surface a little bit, but like, you saw it on the call yesterday when I did the clearing work with one or two people. Like, you can shift big things really quick from the right vibration with the right tools and the right techniques.
Yeah. And even, I mean, changing society is one thing, but the 50 people or whoever on that call, they could be shifted. But
you change society one person at a time.
Right.
If like everybody on this call joined the Breakthrough Club and came on and had the courage to work through their shit, well, within like 6 months, they would all be in brand new realities.
Yeah.
And people would take notice and they'd be like, wow, Lydia, like, what's going on? How did all of this happen? Come join the Breakthrough Club and find out.
Right.
Go connect to Source and find out. Figure out and learn how powerful you really are and see what happens. And that creates those waves of ripple effects.
Yeah. Yeah. So many practical nuances today. Thank you. It's true. You're killing it today.
Yeah. I mean, I love the word practical, right? Because a lot of spiritual stuff makes sense intellectually, but there's a big difference between understanding spiritual concepts like being in the now. A lot of people struggle with that concept. Okay, yeah, I know what it is to be in the now, but like, how do you really integrate that lesson? Well, it's about grounding yourself into your body, right? Yeah. Really being present. And like, there's a process to that. There's a path to that.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, does my partner's approach to life, giving off lower victim stress, pressure frequencies, affect my life's outcome if I'm aware of my frequency, etc., and trying to stay upbeat?
So no one person's vibration can ever impact somebody else's vibration unless we allow it.
Right.
So if they're stress and pressure, if you're putting responsibility on your shoulders to help them not feel the stress and the pressure, then you're likely allowing the circumstance to impact your own vibration.
With people like that, do you kind of put up a barrier?
I think the first step, you can't help somebody else from a lower vibration. So like something I would teach the facilitators is that you can't uplift somebody any higher than the vibration that you're currently practicing.
Okay.
Right. So the first step is finding your own alignment.
Okay.
And then in assisting them in whatever inspired ways come, but it's never about trying to fix them. Because if you're trying to fix them, you're actually propagating the experience of needing to fix.
Right. Yeah, that's tough. How long did it take you to not fix people? Or even like you said, Source never gives you a direct go here. It's saying, well, it's free will. You do your choice, but here's this advice. How long did it take you to like stop trying to fix?
For me, I've always been excited about problem solving.
Right.
So like in math class in school, they would have like this really complex problem to like get bonus points on your test. And like, I would skip the regular test and I would go straight to that first. Yeah. Right. Which is a dumb thing to do. But so for me, I've always been driven and excited by complex challenges. When I worked in tech, I was the guy that people came to when there was a complex problem that people couldn't solve. Right. So, that's what allowed me to develop and bring, that experience and that flavor into the personal development world and the self-help world. And that's what led to the attraction point audit tool and the belief tree and all of these tools that I've developed to help people shift their vibrations. Now, the downside to that is when you're always looking for things to fix, while you're also creating a reality where you're always attracting things needing to be fixed. So a lot of my kind of vibrational shifting in my inner work right now has been stepping out of the fix it role or looking for things to fix and just being more in the detached state.
Or even expansion role, or because I think a lot of people, like in your Breakthrough Club, did they have, well, to me, it felt very uplifting. And so they came to you with no problems at all. and you were able to, okay, now let's go to this next level. Here's this idea. Here's this, and
concept,
so, and maybe I was reading it wrong. Maybe they did have problems, but what I was viewing was like a lot of bubbly people excited to just expand.
Yeah. I mean, and that's like, when you integrate from 3D to 5D, so 3D, when you're living in 3D, like most people are, your 3D self is focused on like, oh, my bank account sucks, my relationship sucks, I gotta fix this. I can't be happy until all my ducks in my reality are in a row. So a 3D person is pushing against their contrast. A 3D 5D integrated person, and the way I say 3D 5D integrated is because as long as you're in a human body, you're in the 3D.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to get to 3D or get to 5D if you're trying to get to 5D to escape 3D, you're missing the point.
Okay.
Right? Because the point is to be able to experience both your source self and your physical self together. And once you've really integrated that, you understand that the contrasting experiences in your physical reality are not problems.
Okay.
Right? They're not things that are bad or wrong or that you screwed up. They're the things that are there to help you, empower you even more, to let in even more of your 5D source self.
And so how much of that is like awareness and expanding your awareness?
It's a lot of transmuting the shit that's been holding you back.
It is transmuting. It's transmuting. Because I always loved the thing back in the day, and you said, I've got these 4 problems wrong, or I've got this 1 problem wrong, and all these other 4 are going great. Well, just focus on the
So if you've got 4 things going right, and all of a sudden you've got lack of money, and all your focus is on lack of money, well, guess what? The vibration of lack is going to propagate here and here and here and here. And next thing you know, you're stuck in this cycle of lack that's tainting all of your reality. And you're not stuck in it, but you got to do the vibrational work to get yourself back out of it.
And so would you say you're not aware of those other 4 things, or they're just not top of mind? They're not the forefront of your thoughts, and to shift that awareness maybe.
Yeah, but I would also look at the thing that's not going well to identify, what am I practicing vibrationally that's causing this circumstance? What's it trying to show me about me?
I was trying this technique, and it was for remote viewing, but they recommended every single room you're in to recognize the room, like to be aware of the room, and because you're noticing like slight variations, just slight nuances. Maybe it's a little brighter, maybe it feels bigger, but because what they said is, with the remote viewing, is when you get to like, a lot of like psychics will give you doom and gloom, because that's what comes to the forefront. They're in a cozy environment. It's climate controlled. It's nice. And so they can really pick up on negative things because it feels bad. It feels cold. But what about like noticing just a little nuance? And so I've been doing it every single room I'm going into. Is, okay, how does this feel different? How does this place feel different? And just expanding my awareness in that way.
Yeah, I think what you're doing is you're building your database of like frequency states.
Okay.
Right. So like, when you hold a cup, you can notice the cup, but like you can also like can you feel the frequency of what this cup feels like? A white mug. Feel the frequency of the white mug. Now in your next remote viewing session, if there's a white mug, I can almost guarantee that you're going to feel that frequency.
Right.
So what you're essentially explaining is that as you go into these different rooms, you're probably experiencing these rooms in a different way. And that's because, and I don't know what the numbers are, but like our senses receive like billions of gigs of data per second.
Okay.
And our unconscious mind filters all of that out and just allows through what the conscious mind has the capacity to process. So what you're doing is you're probably allowing yourself to experience more of the data that's maybe less relevant based on what your conscious mind kind of typically receives.
Right. And the thought would be, if I go on a walk, can I receive more? Can I pick up on, or again, the whisper? I want the whisper. I want the whisper from God. I want the whisper from source, because it's not a thunderbolt.
And so they've been training me for the last 2 years to feel more subtleties.
Yes.
Right. And that's what happens in stillness. That's what happens in meditation. But most people aren't noticing those subtleties because they're too busy on their phones or doing whatever.
In a thing like a relationship, then the subtlety, you could notice when things start to go, they start to go sideways, or pick up on,
Totally.
Yeah.
The subtle emotions that other people are putting out. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. How do you balance your focus when it comes to manifesting dream career and working your 9 to 5? As I understand, wouldn't I need my vibration aligned with the dreams as much as possible?
I would ask myself, how does my dream career feel in my body? If I'm living this dream career, what's the sensations that present themselves? And then it's about working your way into that sensation during your 9 to 5 as much as you can. That would be one thing to look at.
Experiencing it at the job.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I think a lot of people would think that you're then accepting the job.
But you also want to look at like the doubts that are present.
Okay.
So like if I have this ideal dream career, right? Do I have a feeling of doubt that it's not possible in my body? Do I have a fear that it's not possible in my body? Do I have a fear of living out that career, right? Those are all forms of resistance that are pinching off, right? That receptivity.
Okay. Yeah, I think that goes back to that cycle too, because I think, what if you leave the job too early and then all of a sudden you found your dream career?
Yeah. What if I don't make enough money? What if I fail?
Right.
Maybe there's doubt that there's not enough job openings in this career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe there's a doubt that I'm not good enough. That's all stuff you want to work through.
All right. Last one. How do I talk about issues that I'm experiencing without lowering my vibration to my partners? Oh, that's interesting.
I don't think you have to worry about lowering your own vibration, because if you're practicing it, you're already practicing it.
Okay.
Right. Sitting in it and dwelling on it might add more heaviness to it and lower it more. But like that stuff is present and it's at the surface because it wants to be looked at.
Yeah. And you should still tell someone, right? I mean, it's interesting that they would not want to affect their partner.
Yeah. I mean, your partner is going to respond in whatever, if you come to your partner and you say, I feel like I'm not good enough.
Yes.
And it triggers them. Well, that's just showing them what they have to work through as well.
Yeah. Or if you're in a bum mood and you don't want to bother them, then they're going to pick up that you're not bothering them today.
Other people's vibrations are never your responsibility.
Okay.
We've got enough. It's enough work to manage our own vibrations that we have to worry about somebody else's vibration.
Right.
And like, if we use people pleasing as an example, people pleasing is just a form of manipulation. You're manipulating them so that they can be pleased, so that it doesn't create any discomfort for you.
Oh, that's fascinating. It's too much of a gymnastics circle. Just worry about yourself then.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Hey, listen, that was wonderful. Thank you.
That felt like a quick call.
They always do.
Awesome.
The greatest show online.
Yes. Thanks for showing up, everybody. And again, encouragement. Don't be afraid of your shit. Don't be afraid of your resistance. Sit with it, look at it, transmute it. And if you want help with all of that, we got the Breakthrough Club. You know where to find us. If you don't know where to find us, send me an email, nick@nickbreau.com. And I know I shared a discount code last week for 80% off for the first month. If you want to come try it out, send us an email and I can send you that link.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's awesome.
Awesome. Thanks for playing.
See ya.
Check you later.